Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in for another episode of What's Cooking with Kimberly. And it is a weeknight and it's dinner time and I've got the recipe for you. If you know anything about me, you know I love pizza. So I've always tried to find these creative ways of how to make a healthy pizza, and we're gonna do that tonight. So let's jump right in and get started. We're gonna start off with crushed almonds. If you wanna just buy your almonds in the store, you can. They sell almond flour, and that's all it is. So if you want to grind up your own almonds, or if you just want to buy it at the store, I got my food processor here and I chop them up, and this is what they look like. Just don't grind them too much or you'll end up with almond butter. Right next to our almond flour, we've got some Parmesan. All right, so we're not only going to use the Parmesan on top of the pizza, but we're also going to use it in the crust. All right, and then we've got over here 1 egg, which is also going to go inside of our crust. All right. For our toppings, we've got tomato sauce, which I am a super fan of, and no, that did not come from my garden, but I wish it had. Then we're going to put our toppings on, which is going to be some mushrooms, which I'm going to saute, and then we're going to have some olive tapenade, and we are going to finish this off with some green salad, which is back there in the back. You're going to start out by preheating your oven to 375 degrees. And by the time we get ready to pop it in the oven's going to be the perfect temperature. Got my frying pan right here, and I'm going to spray it with a little bit of olive oil there. And then I am just going to fire this up some more, get that going, and put these mushrooms right in. I love sauteing mushrooms for so many things because they are really great fillers and they make any dish complete, and they're really easy to cook. So there you go. So we're going to let those do their thing. While those are cooking, we're going to come over here, and I've got a mixing bowl and 1 single egg. We're going to crack that open like so, like that. Get rid of that. And I've got a measuring cup here, 1 cup, and we're going to start putting in our almond flour. So that's 1 cup. And I'm just going to do like a cup. I'm going to start out with like a cup and a quarter, all right? It's always best to start out with a little bit less in the beginning, and that way you can add to it and get the consistency that you want. I'm going to throw in a handful of Parmesan. 1, 2, 3. Oh, and 1 for good measure. How about that? All right, so I'm just going to use my hands, get this going, mix it up. A lot of people are into, you know, healthy alternatives these days, and this is a great one, all right? Almonds are packed with protein and healthy fats, so you don't have to worry about being bloated after eating this pizza crust. This is going to make a perfect little ball, and we're going to take over to our baking sheet and make our crust. So we'll just say I probably used about 3 cups of almond flour. And then if you want, add a little bit more Parmesan. And by the way, that's just 1 cup of Parmesan. And we're going to use that just to soak up some of the moisture here. And then just like regular pizza dough, we're just going to let it sit here for a second. And I'm going to wash my hands. And then we'll see what those mushrooms are doing. You can add garlic to your mushrooms if you want, salt and pepper. I'm just going straight up mushrooms tonight. Nothing crazy. All right. Once you've stirred your mushrooms, grab your almond flour ball or almond dough ball. And we're going to take it over here. On my baking sheet, I have a piece of parchment paper. This is really important to making your almond crust pizza. You want to make sure it doesn't stick, okay? I'm just going to take this ball here and put it on the bottom here, rub that around, get some of that flour. This is actually gluten-free flour that I put on my baking sheet. And we're just going to play with our almond crust a little bit until we get it smoothed out. And it may break apart. Be gentle. If you find that it's too dry, grab yourself a little bit of water, keep it on your hands, keep your fingers wet, and that should do the trick. All done. Pizza crust is ready. And it doesn't matter what shape your pizza crust is, as long as it is as thin as possible. Now we're going to put our pizza crust in the oven. So the most important thing is don't burn the crust. Kimberly Locke. Do you know how many times I've burned the crust when I make the almond crust pizza? So keep a close eye on it. At 375 degrees, those almonds are going to cook really fast and that cheese in there is going to start to melt. And before you know it, it'll be a Frisbee disc. So we don't want that. So let's keep an eye on it. I'm going to say 5 to 7 minutes. We're going to check in on it again. All right, now that our mushrooms are nice and brown, just the way we like them, we are going to transfer them to our food processor. Oopsie. No mushroom left behind. Now that our mushrooms are in our food processor and have had a little bit of time to cool off, let's just chop them. I love mushrooms so much. I use them all the time when I'm cooking. All right, so we've got these ready to go. Once our, just pop, awesome. So these are ready to go. All we have to do now is check on our pizza crust. Going in. What's happening? Oh, look at that. It's getting brown around the edges. You can smell the Parmesan. Oh, yeah, look at that. All right, so we're going to give it a few more minutes, and then we'll be ready. It's time to pull out our pizza crust. I can smell it. It's yummy. It's crunchy. It's crispy. It is hot and ready for some toppings. You can actually leave the oven on, maybe turn it down just a little bit. You can leave it at a nice temperature. So we have to put it back in the oven for a second time to get all the ingredients cooked in together. All right, we're starting our pizza pie with a little sauce or a lot of sauce. While you're putting the sauce on, you can feel the texture of the crust. It's going to be really crunchy, nice and crispy, just the way I happen to like it. Next, we're going to do our chopped mushrooms. Yum, yum, yum. Straight out of the food processor. Listen, you can add whatever you want to your pizza. This is my pizza. This is not your pizza. All right, last bit of mushrooms. Now we've got our olive tapenade. Just going to spread that out generously. Putting that on there. Look at that. This may be my best pizza yet. We'll find out soon enough. In the ingredients, there was no mozzarella cheese. And I did that on purpose to save some calories, to make it a little healthier. All right? So I'm going to sprinkle a little Parmesan on top. Now we're going to put it back in the oven. Look at all of that. All of that. 5 minutes tops, just to get everything nice and warm and let the cheese melt a little bit. And then we've got one more ingredient. All right, 5 minutes are up and we are ready. Ready. Look at that. Beautiful. Look at that. Awesomeness. Just when you thought this pizza could not get any healthier, I'm going to add a little salad on top of our pizza. And there we go. Which we've had a few out and about that we actually really like. We made our own version. Now the only thing left to do is get the dinner plates out and let's serve this thing up. And look at that. 2 healthy slices of pizza. One for me and one for the guy behind the camera. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to this episode of What's Cooking with Kimberly. And I hope you'll try this recipe, and don't forget to leave comments because I want to hear what you put on your pizza. Really, really good. I'll see you guys next time.